Our reading is taken from Matthew 2. We know relatively little about the wise men or the magi or the Zoroastrian clergy. That's a bit more sophisticated, isn't it? The magi, the Zoroastrian clergy. But after research, it would not be wrong to make a few assumptions. The common thinking is these men lived in Persia and were both extremely clever and extremely wealthy. They enjoyed studying the Hebrew scriptures and the stars. They discovered a very special different star would lead them to a very special different king, a new king of the Jews. These wise men believed in one God, but their God was not the Jewish God. In time, the star appeared and they decided to leave everything and follow it. Now, although they were going to take with them three gifts, the Bible doesn't say they're actually three wise men. And we can be pretty sure there'd be a lot more travelling in the entourage because the gifts were very, very expensive, worth a lot of money. And there was a lot of robbers and bandits around at that time. So we'd be sure they'd be travelling with quite a few armed security guards alongside them. So began the 500 to 1,000 mile journey that was going to take up to 2 years to complete. When they reached Jerusalem, the wise men stopped, maybe protocol, to seek advice from King Herod and his Jewish wise men. Oddly, the Jewish wise men, compared to these non-Jewish wise men, seem to be showing little interest in either the star or the idea of a new Jewish king being born in their area. However, King Herod, who was probably the most jealous king that ever lived, showed great interest and told the wise men to keep him informed. By the time the wise men reached Bethlehem and the house where Mary and Jesus were, Jesus was no longer a baby, he was a little boy. They must have seen something special in Jesus immediately, because on sight they bowed down, they worshipped him and offered him their gifts of gold, frankincense and myrrh. Believe it or not, these were quite usual offerings to give to a king. Gold, we know, is a valuable yellow metal usually found in rocks. Frankincense is a gum resin obtained from the trunk of a tree. The name frankincense came from two French words meaning pure and incense. Myrrh is similar to frankincense, as is harvested primarily from a scraggy, thorny tree. Greek word for myrrh means bitter, but the scarcity of frankincense and myrrh made them even more valuable than gold. But more importantly, the three gifts had a very important symbolic meaning. Gold symbolised royalty, Jesus the King. Frankincense symbolised deity, Jesus being God. Myrrh symbolised death, and myrrh was put on the body of the Lord Jesus after he'd been crucified and laid in a tomb. Then two very important dreams happened after the wise men left. The wise men had a dream they must not return to the wicked King Herod. And Joseph had a dream that of an angel coming and telling him that him and his family must pack their bags immediately and leave for Egypt. Why? Because King Herod the jealous was about to start searching for Jesus to kill him. God's timing is always perfect. We know that Mary and Joseph were not wealthy because they could only afford 2 doves and not a lamb at Jesus' dedication. How could a poor family afford such an immediate upheaval, even to save their son? Well, they couldn't, until God brought the wise men to their door. These wise men would faithfully follow the star for many years and miles, had provided Mary, Joseph and Jesus with sufficient travelling expenses for what was to be a journey of well over 300 miles. Plus, there would also be enough spare, I'm sure, for them to set up a home in Egypt where they would stay for a few years. What I find so surprising is that God chose men from a different country with a different religion to be part of his plan to keep his son protected and safe. Surely there must have been wise, rich Jewish men locally, but God rarely seems to do the obvious or expected. In all my many years that I've been a believer, I have never been able to work God out. God will always be a mystery, which my human mind will never be able to predict. Just when I think I've got God sussed, he surprises me with the unexpected. You know, that is what makes following the Lord Jesus and the Christian life the most exciting life on earth. I wonder what surprises God has got lined up for you and for me during 2025. I guess we just have to wait and see.